100 years after Dragon Ball GT, Goku's great-great-grandson, Goku Jr., travels all the way to Mount Paozu in order to retrieve a Dragon Ball. Who the hell put their fan fiction in front of my... this is a real thing. Mother... Hello everybody, Tyrone the God 3 here, and today we will be reviewing the only Dragon Ball GT movie that ever came out, Dragon Ball GT, A Hero's Legacy. This movie, this movie is very interesting in the sense that, let's just get into the plot summary. The movie basically begins with them giving a recap of what happened during the Baby Saga. Not sure why they do a recap of the Baby Saga rather than the Omega Shenron fight, but regardless, at the end of the Baby fight, they say 100 years have passed since that battle. That means that all the Z Warriors are dead. Well, except for Pan, because she was the youngest, and I'm gonna take a guess here and say that her 1/16th Saiyan means that she can live past age 100. Anyway, with that all being said and done, a lot of stuff has basically gone down, but mostly Pan is the grandmother of this child named Goku Jr., specifically because he looks just like Goku. And Goku Jr. actually shows to be a rather clumsy, cowardly-like child who isn't familiar with the powers that the Z Warriors have, more likely because he wasn't born during a time where fighting was really a thing. So Pan is literally the only one training him at this point to use some powers or train in some way, shape, or form, but he just won't listen, or that, and he is too cowardly to show off his real powers. What ends up happening at this point is that we see the life of Goku Jr. as he goes to school, and when he goes to school, he gets bullied by Puck and a couple of other kids. One of the bullies' name is Puck, though, like, he's the most noticeable. They try to bully Goku Jr. and is successful, and Pan gets mad that he lets people walk all over him and that he wasn't strong enough to fight for himself. However, later on, Pan winds up getting a heart attack because she's like 100 plus years old, and they take her to the hospital. Once she goes to the hospital, Goku Jr. freaks out because he doesn't know whether Pan's going to live or die, and he has to save his grandmother in some way. He runs all the way home, and when he runs home, he discovers a picture that he saw up on his wall of Pan, and remembers a time when Pan told him about the journeys that she had with Giru and the others in order to retrieve the Dragon Balls. It is funny to note here that he's not really listening to this conversation. He's playing a video game, but it's still important all the more because at this point he learns that he can use the Dragon Balls in order to bring Pan back to life. Well, at least one of them, by the way. He believes that just one Dragon Ball will do the trick. So because of this, he decides to head all the way over to Mount Paozu in order to retrieve the 4-star Dragon Ball. Not sure how he knows that the Dragon Ball's there, but I guess he gets the hint saying that Goku's house is in Mount Paozu. On his journey over to Mount Paozu, he runs into the bullies and Puck again. The bullies try to mess with him, but Goku this time ends up getting mad because he knows that he has to do this. The bullies back up for a little bit, and they egg on Puck in order to fight him, but Puck doesn't. He respects Goku in some type of way now because he stood up for himself in that one instance. Meanwhile, while Goku's on the road, he has all his food and everything packed up. He ends up getting picked up by a trucker. The trucker, unfortunately, offers him a ride, which, yeah, this is very uncomfortable scene looking because, you know, you don't accept rides from strangers. Anyway, the stranger basically tricks him. Thank God it was just tricking him. Anyway, he tricks him into stealing all of the food that Goku Jr. had in his bag and takes off. Because of this, he ends up getting stranded at a gas station without food, and then Puck, for some reason, I guess he has super speed because Puck has no vehicle yet. He was ahead of Goku Jr. by a lot. ends up meeting him at the gas station, and he decides to take Goku with him to Mount Paozu. He wants to go to Mount Paozu to see Goku get killed. Yeah, I'm not kidding. That's exactly why he didn't think that Goku would make it that far. However, it seems that Puck has some respect with Goku Jr. during the journey. As the two journey their way to Mount Paozu, they gain somewhat of a camaraderie and even develop this bond into somewhat of a friendship. Their journey together leads them all the way up to the woods where they are cooking food, but then later on get attacked by a bunch of wolves. Goku Jr. ends up using his hidden power in order to fly his way out of there and winds up in a very tall tree. It's here where we also learn that Goku Jr. is afraid of heights. Yeah, that's very messed up. Regardless, afterwards, Goku Jr. ends up getting saved, as well as Puck, by this one woman who brings him into her household. The lady, however, isn't really a lady. In fact, she's one of the demons known as Mamba. And two other subordinates come in as well. They're planning to eat Goku Jr. and Puck. Goku Jr. doesn't trust Mamba, basically off the pure facts that he listened to what Puck said earlier. Never trust anybody that's too nice. He uses this information to his advantage, and the two end up hiding from Mamba right before they were going to get butchered and put into a soup. However, Mamba ends up finding them, and the giant chase scene begins. They almost get cooked, but then Goku uses his hidden powers while he was in a near-death situation in order to knock Mamba away. This causes Mamba's hair to get cut off because Puck ends up using the knife that she was going to use on them to cut her hair, release Goku's grips, and they end up getting away safely. The only way to get a clear cut away from them is across the bridge. Puck goes in first and then Goku goes second. The bridge breaks on Goku and Puck saves Goku. However, Puck ends up falling off the bridge into the abyss. It is assumed that Puck's dead at this point, so yeah, that's tough. Goku Jr. ends up getting very upset about this, and then later on we see that one of the demons that was in the house before that didn't really reveal himself much is about to go off and eat a baby bear. Because of this, Goku Jr. comes in and actually saves the baby bear by unlocking his hidden potential. He still doesn't know it or is aware of his hidden potential, but he does save the baby bear. The baby bear stays with Goku for most of the duration, and then the mama bear comes in and is about to eat Goku, but the baby bear explains the situation and Goku is let off scot-free. After this, however, what ends up happening is that Goku runs into Mamba again, and they try to run away from Mamba. After all of this chaos, Lord Yao ends up hitting Goku Jr. with a cannon. Lord Yao is the king of all demons, apparently, even though that position's already taken by Deborah. Yeah, I guess they weren't really paying attention to who's the king of demons. Anyway, once this all ends up happening, the mother bear tries to fight off against Lord Yao, but ends up getting its butt handed to her. She's trying to protect her baby and Goku Jr. Goku Jr. tries to protect the baby by running away with it, but the baby ends up running back to the mother. Once all of this happens and the mother bear is about to die, Goku Jr. ends up tapping into his inner power and he ends up transforming Super Saiyan. Because of this, Goku Jr. makes quick work of Lord Yao and is able to save the mother bear and baby bear. Once all of this chaos is over, Goku Jr. ends up turning back normal state, having no recollected memory as to what happened in all of the chaos. After this, however, Goku Jr. finally makes it to Mount Paozu, and when he makes it to Mount Paozu, he looks for the Dragon Ball inside of the broken abandoned house that used to be Goku's. He successfully does find the Dragon Ball, and that's good and said and dandy. When he tries to make the wish in order to bring Pan and Puck back to life, it fails. Goku Jr. basically is confirmed that he's failed his entire mission. However, his grandfather, or great-great-grandfather, if you will, the original Goku, the one we all know and love, shows up and tells him that he has to gather all 7 Dragon Balls before he can make a wish. Once Goku Jr. learns this, he feels like he's much of a failure, but Goku reassures him that the journey that he's taken all the way up to this point shows that he's much more powerful than he believes he is. Later on, we end up seeing Puck and, for some reason, Pan. They both somehow met together in a plane at the exact same time. Not sure how that happened. They end up alive and well, and Goku Jr. thanks the original Goku, but Goku seems to be gone. However, he is in Goku Jr. within spirit, and in his spirit lies within the 4-star Dragon Ball. The journey basically ends, and Goku Jr. thanks Goku, and they fly off into the sunset, and everything is all well said and dandy. And that's it. To be honest, I gotta say, A Hero's Legacy is a lot better than everything else that Dragon Ball GT offers. Hell, this could be its own series. A lot of people on YouTube in general talk about a new Dragon Ball Z series, and they want a new Dragon Ball series and a new Dragon Ball series this and that, and everybody whines about it and makes parodies of it and makes like their own versions of what they believe a new Dragon Ball series would be like. Hell, there's so many like fanfic Dragon Ball series out there. That can probably do the series 100 times over. But the thing about it is, I think that this would be the most successful route to go towards it. I'm not saying this just because it's a professional one that ends up on TV, but I'm saying it more or less because of the fact of the way that this is set up. Yeah, having Goku have a great-great-grandson that looks a lot like him seems very fanfic-y. But the thing about it is, there's a lot about Goku Jr. that differentiates him from the original Goku. He's not oblivious like Goku is, and he's not brave like Goku is. He actually has his own character. He's very cowardly, he makes mistakes, he has very insecure self-beliefs, things like that. Things that make him very unique. Gives him his own character somewhat. He's not just some Goku clone like Goten was. He's actually his own goddamn character, which makes for a very interesting character. There's several things in this series that I actually believe could branch off to make a series of itself, although they have to cool it a little with the juniors. I think the junior characters are very sad versions of original characters that already exist. The reason I'm bringing all this up is because at the end of Dragon Ball GT, if you all seen that review, I'll put a link in the description, I discussed that there is a Goku Jr. is fighting off against Vegeta Jr. Here, we see that Goku Jr. clearly isn't that much of a fighter. He barely fights. He only fights when he has to, and that's subconsciously. He's not even aware of what has happened after he's done fighting. So, what type of transition had to have transpired for Goku to get from this to him fighting off against Vegeta Jr. in the final tournament battle at the last episode of GT? How come Goku Jr. is so cowardly here, but has no problem fighting Vegeta in that final episode? How come Goku Jr. can transform Super Saiyan at will there, but has basically all the trouble of turning Super Saiyan into Special? Is there some type of transition that happens in between these two? How come Goku Jr. acts like he has no idea who Vegeta Jr. is, but he can turn Super Saiyan at will, plus Vegeta Jr. can do it as well? You see, these are questions that I'm asking, and these are problems that I have. There has to be some type of inconsistencies that happen in between these, which can all be filled up if they made a series. But I'm pretty sure that Akira Toriyama doesn't want to get involved with the chaos of making an entire another Dragon Ball series, and if he does, that's basically his choice. Honestly, I gotta say though, A Hero's Legacy is the best thing to come out of the Dragon Ball series. Way better than Dragon Ball GT. Well, not the whole series as a whole, I just meant the GT half. Yes, this 43-minute movie is better than the entire GT series to me. There's a lot of ideas here that work, and you see, not making the original Goku the main character can actually work. Goku Jr., albeit, has his own personality, and it's rather annoying and cowardly at some points, but at the exact same time, it's that differentiation of character that makes him unique, makes it worth watching. Even the journey that him and Puck had to retrieve the Dragon Ball was very reminiscent of the original Dragon Ball series. And if you're going to make a new Dragon Ball series, don't start characters off already at like Super Saiyan 4 and then turn them into Super Saiyan 5 and make all these other ridiculous transformations. I say this is a nice start. Goku Jr. is still weak enough to be considered an average human on human standards, but he has that hidden potential that allows him to transform Super Saiyan, much like Gohan did. I think this is a very great way to make a new series. Have him get new friends on the way, have him gain new enemies, new rivals, search for the Dragon Balls and things like that. This can make for a very great series, and a lot of the things that were done here are actually better ideas than GT had altogether. If this had happened after Dragon Ball Z, I would not be upset. I would actually be very amped to see each and every episode of how this story would go out. It's a very good way to make a series where Goku's the main character without him being the main character. Like I said, Goku Jr. isn't exactly the best, but he's definitely different than the original Goku, and I respect that. Having Vegeta Jr. would have been a bit of a stretch. Even in the few seconds that I saw him in the final episode of GT, he seems like he's overly cocky and too much like the original Vegeta. I mean, granted, he does say some kiddish things in his dialogue that differentiate him from the more matured, stuck-up-the-ass Vegeta. I love you, Vegeta. You're a great character. That's the way I view you sometimes. But regardless, it would have been too similar to see these two characters. I'm not saying it's a horrible idea altogether. It's just you would have to make him a lot different from the original Vegeta. Make him a bit more formal, I guess. Or less formal. Anyway, these ideas are definitely not bad ideas, and that's what makes me hate GT all the more. That's all Hero's Legacy made me do, is hate GT even more. GT is bad in its own rights, but this just shows that they could have put an actual effort into a series to make it a lot better. All this did was make me more disappointed in GT, and I don't like that. And what I recommended, of course, I would definitely recommend this. Hell, I would recommend this before even watching GT. I mean, yeah, you'll get a little bit confused as to some events that happen and the recap that they give you, but if you really wanted to see how a new series would be, this is it. I mean, granted, unfortunately it ends right here. Like, once this movie's done, that's it. We never really see much of Goku Jr. ever again. But this is a great iteration of what a series would be like if Goku Jr. were the main character, and what this type of series would be. Definitely give it a look-see if you're ever curious. As for the series, as for making it a series as a whole, I am not against this idea whatsoever. I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen since this movie was made so long ago, but I'm just saying, this was definitely a good idea. This is what I expected out of GT. Unfortunately, it gave me GT. This, as a standalone movie, I think it's pretty good too. A lot of the things here definitely got to me. I mean, watching that mother bear almost die was very heart-wrenching. And then seeing Goku Jr. fail twice because of his lack of being stronger definitely got to me too. There is one scene that kind of confuses me in this movie, and it's where Pan compares Goku Jr. to Goku, when in the description that she gives before that, she says that her father ran away in his first fight too, but it was that allowed him to learn and become stronger and fight. That's Gohan. Pan describes Goku Jr. more as Gohan, which overall makes sense. If you watch the Dragon Ball Z series from the beginning and watch Gohan as a toddler in his training with Piccolo against the Saiyans, he acts a lot like Goku Jr. here, which can definitely make sense. I can see how that would turn Goku Jr. into a fighter in which can fight off against Vegeta Jr. no less, and could definitely make for a decent transition. Unfortunately, since A Hero's Legacy is the end of Dragon Ball GT and the last we ever see of Goku Jr. for real, we don't get that type of transition, which is definitely a shame. I would love to have seen how Goku Jr. can grow as a character with allies, rivals, and enemies he would make. Like I said, this would have stood alone as a series in its own. So overall, I have to say this was a good movie. It's not a great movie if you're looking for just solely action, but the adventure in itself was actually pretty good, and the plot overall is a standard plot, especially for a Dragon Ball movie. It's not too complicated at all. It's not simple, though. Well, it's kind of simple, but it's not blank, is what I'm saying. It's definitely creative, and I gotta say that if they were to do something like this in the future or make a series based off of Goku Jr. alone, I would definitely not be against it. So, I gotta say, if anything came from GT, it was this. This is the silver lining in the cloud storm that is Dragon Ball GT. So, with all that said, I hope you all enjoyed this, because this is technically the last movie that I'm doing a review of. Everything after this point is going to be basically TV specials, and then I'll eventually move on to sagas. So, with that said, it's been good reviewing all the Dragon Ball Z movies. But now we move on to specials. So next time I will be reviewing the first special, Dragon Ball Z Bardock and the Father of Goku, where it all began. I'll see you all then, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 out.